3 rounds of voting. That's what it took for the Ghana Football Association to have a new president more than a year after Anas Aremiya announces peace. He is touted as the game changer. Keto Kreku is the new GFA president. Tonight, we'll bring you all the twists and turns, of course, the drama as he vows to mend cracks and change the face of Ghana football.
Association that will be amazing to build big products.
We'll also hear from former GFA president who says it is time for the restoration of confidence.
They must be able to win public confidence. The public must trust the earth.
Top Story is brought to you always by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready? Gassem, the nation builder, and Tati Furniture are designed for life. I am Gifty and Apia, and this is Top Story.
At the close of the third round of voting, here are the results. Ket E.S. Okreku polled 93 votes, which translates to 96.9% of the vote. So, on behalf of then we have 4 rejected. We therefore declared Mr. Ket E.S. Okreku as elected president for the GFA.
And that's how it came to a wrap. Leading contender for presidency of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kreku, has tonight emerged the next president of the association. But his fate was not without drama. It took 3 elections for Mr. Kreku to poll the required 60 plus 1 vote after he finally polled 96 out of the 120 votes. After the first round of voting, Keto Kreku polled 44 votes, whilst his main contender, George Afriyie, polled 40. Nana Yao Amponsa had 27 votes. Fred Papo got 6 votes, and Amanda Clinton and George Ankuma Mensah both had no vote at all. This result took the competition into the second round of voting, and Fred Papo, who had 6 votes, pulled out of the race, leaving George Afriyie and Keto Kreku as well as Nana Yao Amponsa. George Afriyie conceded defeat just when the third round of voting began, automatically pulling out. We'll hear from him shortly. But first, listen to the new president of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Okreku.
The quality the 6 of us have shown through our manifestos, our engagements, which has been relatively clean. Again, let's be proud of our achievements. Getting this success story, colleagues, it is time for us to work. It is time for us to let go of all our bad feelings. It's time for us to forget about the struggles, the fights. It's time to look into the future with hope, to build a new Ghana Football Association that will be amazing, to build big products, so that everybody, whether you're a direct consumer of the sport, you are a corporate Ghana, or you are the international community, to be proud of. Again, it is that time that I will say to all of us, let's stay together. Football is a team sport. Ket Okreku cannot do it alone. My campaign team cannot do it alone. It is time for us to ignite passion and to create wealth for everybody. Our players, our staff, our groundsmen, our clubs, the female teams, the coach teams, everybody, amateur football across board. This is our time. In celebrating this success, let us all think at all times that it's Ghana first. We will celebrate this victory today. Tomorrow, work begins.
So how did we get to a dire need for restoration of confidence in the GFA at all? Here is a recap of that story.
For many years, football administrators and lovers alleged there was corruption in Ghana football.
Some of the referees can ask you before the match, but me, I don't give now.
Investigative journalist Anas Aremiya set out to investigate the matter, and his findings left the nation shocked.
When this story comes, there's going to be a lot of trouble. The entire football systems would all collapse.
Something small, your own discussion. Then
when we get the contracts, big contracts, we can go back and give them more money. Then we take over the whole country.
Government moved in swiftly, causing the arrest of the GFA president, Kwesi Nyantakyi, and vowed to dissolve the Ghana Football Association.
We cannot. In fact, it is inequitable, it's illegal, it will be irresponsible if we continue to sit back and allow the FA, as presently constituted, to continue to operate.
This position was abandoned after FIFA agreed with government for an interim management christened the Normalization Committee to take over football administration in Ghana. The Tiger Eye documentary brought football to a standstill. No active association competition for more than 12 months, except the recent Normalization Committee competition. So after 13 years, the Football Association will for the first time have a new president and a chance to restore the glory of Ghana football.
Ghana have won the competition for the first time on African soil, an African team.
Well, as you know, the months that followed the release of that video were very tumultuous for the GFA, and a normalization committee was put together to oversee Ghana football. Here is head of the now defunct committee, Dr. Kofi Amwa, with these parting words.
You have game changer. The blessings of the normalization committee. I think I can speak on behalf of FIFA. You have the blessings of FIFA, of CAF. It has been a long process to get us here, but I think the end justifies the means. Now we have seen the end. A quite transparent process. We went through the process of vetting, selections. We have conducted other elections to select members of the Executive Council, and the culmination of it is a member of the Executive Council who is also the president.
Right, that is Dr. Kofi Amwa with his parting words. Well, George Afriyie was the man tipped to become the next GFA president, but that did not happen. Listen to him explain to Joy News why he decided to concede before the final round of voting.
I mean, the football people have spoken, and it's loud and clear. I didn't want to take them through another touch of going round to vote. It's okay. Football, once you belong to football, you work for football, you need to understand that football is the winner.
George Afriyie there, who conceded. So I have two of my colleagues here in the studio, Hans Mensah, and who has been following this, monitoring this event all day. He's with me in the studio now. Baba Tando is also here with me, and we'll also be joining. Benedict Owusu will also be joining us. He's at the College of Physicians and Surgeons still. So, Baba, it's interesting. You look so tired.
It's been a very tiring day.
It has been. And Hans, you've been following this from the studio.
Absolutely.
Let's start with Baba. Baba, on the ground, how did it really feel like?
Well, I mean, a lot of things happened that we didn't expect. Remember that we had one outstanding vote to complete the members of the Executive Council, and so we were looking forward to that. But obviously, the main agenda for today had to do with the presidency, the presidential elections. And so, I mean, call to order, everything happened, and then you could feel tension around. I mean, the candidates were all over the place in the morning before the vote started, the election started. I mean, talking to people for the last time, trying to get into people's heads, trying to be the last thoughts of people, the delegates.
And so within that short period where they had to finish, I mean, after the first round of voting and then the second one, well, even before the second one, what kind of conversations? And Hans talked a lot on in the studio about consultations.
Yes, I mean, when the first round was over and we realized there was a tie, everybody actually thought that Nana Yamponsa, who had 27 votes, could be the decider of who was actually going to win. And so people thought that he was actually going to concede and declare his support for either George Afriyie or Kurt Ezekwesili, but that didn't happen. He came to say that, okay, look, I'm going to go into this runoff with these two gentlemen, even though Papse had actually conceded. And then we knew that Amanda Clinton and lawyer George Ankoma had actually also I mean, they were not part of the race. And so that was the beginning of, of what was to come. And so Nana Yao did join them, and there was a lot of consultation. I mean, before the second round of voting started, everybody was on Nana Yao's case. Everybody was following Nana Yao and Ponsa, because they knew that, I mean, he could be he actually was the deciding factor. Yes. And so everybody wanted to get under his skin and see if they could get his support. But I mean, he just came out to say that, look, I'm contesting. I'm also going for the runoff. And so that changed everything.
And whether or not that was a good decision, we don't know yet. But Hans, would you say that it went as expected?
I mean, I think that the answer will depend on what you were expecting. For me personally, I knew that it was going to go very much against my expectations. I wasn't sure what exactly, that meant. I didn't expect that we were going to go through 3 rounds of voting. I certainly expect that somebody was going to end up conceding, And so, yes, those are 1 or 2 things that took me by surprise. But in terms of how the process itself went, I expected that at some point there were going to be consultations. I expected that at some point, somebody was going to decide not to continue with the race. But I didn't expect it to happen after, 1 round or after 2 rounds. I didn't expect that even before it began. Somebody was going to decide that he wasn't going to contest anyone and that was going to throw, his support for another candidate.
But Hans, sorry, just before you wrap up, the third round of voting was actually just a mere formality because Ket actually needed to get the 50% plus 1, which was going to be 60 votes plus. And so, I mean,
if he had 59,
and
he was going to get it anyway.
It was actually so painful.
And Hans actually mentioned it. Just when he mentioned it, everybody was thinking, why do they need to vote again? And then it came up.
It was a matter so that the records would reflect.
Exactly.
That,
so nobody, these people and litigation. So nobody would go and litigation.
And again, in terms of going, against expectations, I thought that we were just going to go in there and go ahead, with the process. But we saw in the beginning, before the voting actually began, some decisions being taken. One of them being that there was an increase in the number of clubs participating in the Premier League,
which they
from
debated
16,
for a while.
Exactly, from 16 to 18. Essentially allowing King Faisal and Accra Great Olympics back into the Premier League.
What does that mean for the GFA going forward? We know that Laji Grusa was in the context, but
for the
didn't win
for the executive council elections. Yes.
It confuses me a bit because I know that per the rules, you require 75% of Congress to ratify some of these proposals. But if you look at that, it was 64 votes, okay? And that's about 53%. It's not up to 75.
Okay, so I think by that one it was a simple majority. I think that one was a simple majority.
Well, I probably have to, take a critical look at that.
All right.
But I was surprised that decision was made then. Now, here's a question, quick one, because there are a number of questions around that decision.
Okay.
We have a situation where by the next season, 5 clubs are going to be relegated
at the end of the season. Yeah.
Now, here's why I sense trouble. If King Faisal and Great Olympics manage to stay in the Premier League, they don't get relegated, and we have 5 teams who originally, are Premier League teams being relegated, it is going to create a lot of problems.
Well, let's
people are going to raise issues with it.
Let's get some perspectives from Jerome Autry. He's a sports analyst. Hello, Jerome. Jerome.
Hello.
Very well. So if you heard Hans there, he thinks that, we're talking about the future of the GFA right now, that it has a new president, and he's talking about a decision that was taken before the vote itself was cast, and he's talking about how that spells trouble or can spell trouble, has the possibility of bringing trouble to the GFA, which is actually, just beginning a new page. What do you see from where you stand?
I see a potential danger, and I don't want to be a prophet of doom. But I agree with Hans to a large extent that decision that followed our football for some time would know the decision they took today has the tendency to create problems sometime to come. I hope when the time comes for the 5 clubs to be relegated, to get up and say, look, I'm going to court or I'm not going to accept this decision because the decision that was taken today was a wrong decision. I just pray that as we are being ushered into a new football administration, football people will play by the rules. And here I mean rules they themselves have set to manage the game. So that if today the decision is to play an 18-club, they should accept it and bear in mind that when the time comes for relegation of what composition of those clubs, there are 5 clubs, but when the time comes for those 5 clubs to be relegated, they will accept it just as they have accepted it today.
Okay. Jerome, let me just find out quickly from you. There's a new GFA president, so let's focus a little bit on him and what we know of him and how he is likely to solve this problem that you foresee. Let's make that your brief wrap-up comment, and then I'll take the similar comments from my colleagues here, Baba and Hans. Jerome.
I think Kurt deserves this position. I mean, he had a message. His message was very clear. He was able to sell it very well to the delegates. They accepted it and they have voted for him. I do not see Kurt. Yes, definitely he's going to have difficulties, but he's someone I believe have what it to contain whatever difficulty that will come his way. From the look of things, he's going to work with a team that are also very experienced. I mean, if you see the composition of the Executive Council, everything shows that there are very, very experienced brains on that council. And I'm hoping that the plans that Kurt unveiled during his campaign, the Executive Council will come to the table with their plans and see how they'll be able to merge everything to shape the future of Ghana football.
Right. So you have a lot of hope for the new GFA, do you?
Oh, yes, I do. But, I mean, let's sound a word of caution to them that in as much as we are hopeful and confident that they will be changing the face of Ghana football, we will also keep them on their...
Okay. So your hope, if you were to put it on a scale, what would that be on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, at least 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Well, that's a pass mark. Jerome, thank you very much for your contribution to the conversation. Jerome Motre there is a sports analyst. So Baba and Hans, and I always go for ladies first, so don't be offended. You didn't vote for Amanda anyway.
I would have voted for you.
You would have voted for her? Okay, at least I would give her one.
It was a very sorry sight seeing her after the vote, you know.
But it's okay, Baba. Evans will be talking about the GFA on Ghana Connect. So from your perspective, the problem that Hans raises, will it be a major stumbling block? Right now, a lot of people have expectations about corruption when it comes to dealing with corruption in the GFA. So if this club dynamic is going to be in the way, how do you know Keto Kreku and his ability to solve such a problem in moving the GFA forward?
Okay, so first off, Gifty, now the marking scheme for the GFA president has been raised really high. Obviously, from where we are coming from, from a corrupt background, an alleged corrupt background, match fixing, too many things, and so the marking scheme will be set so high, and so I think that in itself is going to be some sort of a check for Kurt. I mean, he's got to be very, very careful not to make any decisions that will, end up jeopardizing his very young career in being a GFA president and all of that. And so I think he's going to be very careful. And then being careful will also translate into the people around him, whoever he puts around him to help him run the association. He has the executive council. That's brilliant. But then there are other people who would also help in making him, successful or otherwise. Those people will also count to his success or otherwise. Okay. And then I think that with this Premier League expansion from 16 to 18 teams and going to have 5 teams relegated in the next season and all of that, they themselves voted for this to be accepted. I'm sure that they had plans for it. I'm sure they know what they are going to do about this particular situation, so it doesn't end up, giving us another break. Because look, I think normalization has not been a good thing. We don't want to get here anymore. There are people who are hungry. Footballers are hungry. Administrators are hungry. We do not want to get here anymore. So once they have taken that decision, it entirely means that they know how they're going to go about it to ensure that they run it really smoothly, not to get us any more breaks in our football.
Very well, Baba. So for your expectation and hope, if you put on a scale 1 to 10 for the 6. New GFA, 6. Yeah. Okay, that's average.
Yeah, for me, quick one. I think that the job of the next FA administration is pretty much cut out for them. And like Baba said, the bar has been raised very, very high. What I want to see is an administration that has respect for structures, that is focused on building the structures of the Ghana Football Association. I'm talking about the internal structures of the Ghana Football Association. Look, let me give you a typical example. There's a technical director of the FA. There's a technical directorate of the FA. Ask me the function or the job of the technical directorate.
I don't have time for that.
It's virtually non-existent. The office exists, the person exists, but it's like he does nothing.
It doesn't.
He's been sidelined. That office has been sidelined when it's a critical component.
So it would be a good thing for Kurt to focus on this.
Focus on building the structures, the internal
Okay.
structures, the disciplinary committee, the other committees of the Ghana Football Association, the technical directorate, all the other structures. It's very, very important.
All right.
If you build those structures, what you do is that you put in place measures that deals with the problems that are going to crop up.
Okay.
It is not good enough that we have a technical directorate where the head coach of the Black Stars doesn't even report.
You're very passionate about this. I see that.
Because some of the things that have happened previously simply do not make sense.
Hopefully,
and
the
we
things
need
that
to
Kurt
get
will do.
in an era where things make sense.
Okay.
Simple.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, your hope in the new GFA?
My hope, I'm being cautiously optimistic. Look, I don't want to raise my hopes high.
Okay, so 1 to 10.
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not necessarily. That's not even really average. But anyway, Hans Mensah and other Hans, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Baba Tando was here earlier. She was also on the ground, so she brought us that perspective. And then we spoke to Jerome Autry. But you know what? There's still a lot of people who have been talking. Former GFA President Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo has an advice for the new GFA President.
I think first and foremost, I believe strongly they must be able to win public confidence. The public must trust the FA. I was listening to Honorable Katie Hammond yesterday, and I felt so bad because there are quite a number of people who have the same feeling still. He's completely forgotten about football now because football has gone so low. Now, whoever comes there now must help football get back on its feet. If the person will not be able to do that, forget about it. And the person can only do that when the person has the ability to whip public confidence. So the public once more can believe in the football leadership. Right now, the public don't believe in the football leadership. Now, if the person is able to do that, then they will assure the game itself will be pushed forward. Now, if we look at our various stadia, when we have league matches, it's virtually empty across the country, and it's all because the public have no confidence in our matches. Of course, we don't have the talented footballers we used to have years ago. That is also another mark. Now, there must be somebody also who will be internationally accepted because international confidence is so important. Kwesi Nyantakyi was able to build that, then he destroyed it himself. That's very unfortunate, you see. Now, integrity, I think to me that is the most important. Somebody with the slightest doubt about his integrity should not get close at all to that seat. So, in short, this is what I will say.
That's the former GFA President, Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo, speaking earlier on the Super Morning Show. But before we leave, we'll tell you what happened in Parliament because it is closely related to this story. The Attorney General, Gloria Akufo, is set to brief Parliament on the status of the probe involving the former GFA President, Kwesi Nyantakyi. The President filed a complaint with the CID following the number 12 expose, which captured the former GFA boss using the President's name to, so to speak, convince some investors. The AG's briefing to the House next week is at the behest of the MP for Myon, Mohammed Abdulaziz.
As Parliament, we are required to play oversight over the executive. And questions are one of the tools that we use to play the oversight. And so the leadership of Parliament must assist us to be able to use the question time and other tools to hold the executive accountable.
Honorable, do you have any suspicion that's why you filed the question asking the Attorney General to update us on the Kwesi Nyantakyi case?
Not really. I just want to know the status of investigation because this is a matter that borders on the number one citizen of this republic. To the extent that specific allegations were made against the president, we should know the status of the investigation. That's very important. The president made the complaint not to the AG, but the CID. And so obviously the AG works hand in hand with the CID. And so she should be in a position to tell us if they have finished investigations and if there's any docket on that matter. I just want to hear what the AG would say about it.
So that is the Member of Parliament for Mion, Mohammed Abdul Aziz. They're making the point. So hopefully next week, Wednesday, the Attorney General should be in Parliament briefing the House about the status of that investigation following President Akufo-Addo's complaint filed at the CID. Well, it's been a very long day of football, and Top Story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans, your success, our passion. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready? Gasam, the nation builder, and Antarte Furniture designed for life. I'm going to leave you with the final pitch from the 6 individuals who sought to lead the association. But before that, let me let you know that Ghana Connect is talking GFA. Ghanaians love our football, and so let's connect on Ghana Connect. But listen to the final pitch. My name is Gifty Andoapia.
You bestowed on me the title Chief of Staff. It is simple.